Okay, we are doing a diversity case study in EFD 645. My name is Charlie Frierson. My group is Chris Holder and Aaron Piper. Step one, we are to identify the problems or problem posed by the case. The teacher did not notify or discuss with parents the situation. Also, the teacher wanted the child to conform to society rather than learn what the child was feeling and learn how to assess the child. The teacher also did not research what the child was experiencing, and the teacher did not notify administration in order to produce an action plan. Step two, take stock of varying perspectives. We saw that the teachers were supportive by being an ally to Timmy. Teachers were inclusive by reminding students that toys and play areas are for everyone and to respect classmates. Teachers were confused and did not further educate themselves on gender identity.
All right, so some of the challenges and opportunities that we noticed in this case study. Some of the challenges, well, would be getting other faculty members on board. As the earlier teachers had done, they just squashed the bullying or the incidents, but didn't take it a step further. So kind of getting them to get more involved. Also, taking on something like this can get other parents, could get kind of upset. And so that's going to be a challenge. And then, of course, just challenging social norms with Timmy wanting to do stuff that's a little bit different than what everybody's doing. Some of the opportunities, though, that this is going to provide, first of all, be able to provide a safe environment for Timmy. So make sure that no bullying or anything else worse happens to him. But also, it's going to create a more inclusive environment for all students. Not just Timmy, but for everybody, for the whole school, hopefully. And it's going to teach people how to respect and accept people that are different, and beyond just somebody with like Timmy, but all students. So some of the equitable outcomes that we thought of, hopefully, people can just accept Timmy for who he is. Hopefully in the future, teachers are going to be real quick to intervene for all students, to stand up for them, but also to turn it into a meaningful conversation, or as we like to say in education, make a teachable moment out of it. And hopefully, students won't be bullied just because they're different, whether it's because they paint their fingernails or they like a certain football team, something like that.
Okay, so the next step is to identify immediate term responses. So one of the things you can do is we could identify a peer buddy in the class. We could pair someone that we know is very kind and very welcoming with Timmy, somebody that's going to make him feel comfortable in various situations. As the teacher and the administrators, we could also meet with Timmy's teacher. So anybody else in the building that he communicates with or that he might spend time with during the day. So maybe his art teacher, music teacher, computer teacher, PE teachers, and just kind of get everybody on board about what's going on in the situation. And then I definitely think a parent-teacher meeting needs to happen. Sometimes it helps just to kind of get the perspective of the family and how they handle things at home. And then a lot of times we can handle the same things in class, handle it the same way. And then also we could ask a counselor to conduct a lesson that's relative to this situation. And so I know, especially in elementary school, this might be something that a lot of students might not be aware of, but our counselors are great resources. So I think it is important that we use them. So then in terms of long-term policy and practice adjustments, so not just what we're going to do immediately, but as far as school-wide or even district-wide, we could develop a procedure for gender identity situations. So depending on the size, the size of the district, this may not be the first time that something like this has come up. But even if it is, it would be helpful to have a procedure to follow. So frequent meetings with parents, scheduling these every so often, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page and we know how to best to support the student and the family. And in those meetings to include all important parties, so counselors, teachers, administrators, anybody that works with the student from day to day. And ultimately the goal of that is to ensure that the student and the family feel supported. And then also we could look at implementing a character education program if that's not something that the school already has. And so just a few things that we could focus on would be kindness, acceptance, courage. And so even if this topic of gender identity may be difficult to convey to students, we can still talk about some characteristics that we can display. Okay, so what is our plan of action? So several things that would help us handle this situation as best as possible. So again, meet with Timmy's parents. So again, it's important to have those key people there, the parents, any teachers that are going to be able to speak to maybe what Timmy's going through during the school day, administrators, somebody who can enforce certain steps in the plan of action, and then the counselors, of course. We could also develop a student support plan. So something that's similar to a BIP, a behavior intervention plan, or a safety plan. Sometimes students might have a crisis plan. So if the student in a circumstance doesn't feel safe or doesn't feel well supported, what are the steps that student can take in the immediate sense? The next thing we're going to do is meet with a counselor to plan class counseling lessons. I think it's important for the students to not just be told once how to handle sensitive situations, but continually to teach them about different kinds of things like this. We could implement some teacher training, again, not just for Timmy's teachers, but for people around the school. We could talk about diversity training, sensitivity training. I think that would be a benefit to other situations as well. We could also develop a specialized team. So district-wide, a team that would include maybe counselors from different schools, some teachers maybe who have experience with issues like this, and then develop a plan or just some supports that are available to students and parents and teachers should they have any questions or just need some support. And then lastly, I think it's important to have frequent check-ins with Timmy and his family. So this can't be a situation where we ask them how they're doing, everything good, and then we just leave them high and dry. So I think it's important to specify check-ins and make sure that we're supporting them throughout the school year and not just maybe when Timmy's having a hard time, like this case study showed.
Okay, now we're about to go over the case study questions. Timmy's teachers, first question is, Timmy's teachers from kindergarten through second grade, despite noticing that he was being teased, chose not to intervene, and except for squashing the teasing, they should have done more. In our analysis, we saw the teachers could have notified parents so discussions could take place at home prior to the conversations in class, so it's not a distance between the teachers and the parents. Teachers did not bring concerns to administration that protects the student and student safety. And as early as age 3, using appropriate language and concepts according to age, because as studies show, that's when kids start learning a little bit more about genders. The second question is, how should Ms. Grover broach this conversation with Timmy's parents? Timmy specified that his mom knew he had painted his fingernails, and should Ms. Grover reach out to Timmy's mother specifically? First, we as a group thought they should contact should be made with Timmy's mom, and also have an open dialect will benefit Timmy, so you can understand both sides of the situation and have a better plan for the student in the school environment.
All right, so the next question was asking, how would you, if you were Timmy's teacher, have responded to the teasing that Timmy was experiencing? How would you have reached out to Timmy, mindful not to draw unwanted attention to him? Well, the first thing, one of the things we'd have to do, obviously, is stop the situation when it happens. But also we have to kind of educate ourselves on gender identity and how to support students that are different. I mean, this is not something that probably many of us have had experience with. And of course, we need to have frequent conversations and check-ins with Timmy. You know, how you doing? How's everything going? And just kind of see how his day's going, just again to open up and just to make sure that, you know, there is no bullying going on. Next, of course, to have to also invite the counselor to the classroom for not only observations, but to do group lessons. And of course, like we said earlier, you know, these could be character education, just about kindness and respect and acceptance of people that are different. And this last question, of course, this is kind of something that I think probably all of us would happen. It's as part of Ms. Grover's challenge, is that although she wanted to try to make the school a more welcoming place for Timmy, she was unsure of her ability to do so. This led her to wonder whether it might be safer for Timmy to conform while he's at school, and how would you advise Ms. Grover to do so? Of course, you got to meet with the parents. I mean, that's just a big thing, you know, and supporting some of the parent actions at home, find out how do they want us to deal with it. You know, just because Timmy says one thing, that doesn't always mean that's what is going on at home. So we have to kind of, you know, find out, get to the whole story. And then it says initiate teacher training on various issues such as gender identity. I mean, this has to be a whole staff thing because, you know, Timmy is going to matriculate through this school. And if we want to make sure that, you know, the bullying doesn't continue, we need to involve the future teachers and learn from past teachers and just kind of educate the whole staff on it. So